Pavani seems to accept this as an apology. She nods and comes down, takes hold of the steering wheel, starts the car and follows his instructions. The Saab lurches forward with a little jump, then pauses before catapulting itself with a loud roar towards the guest parking and very nearly crashing into another car. Ove tugs at the handbrake. Pavane lets go of the steering wheel and yells in panic, covering her eyes with her hands until the Saab finally comes to an abrupt stop. Ove is puffing as if he had to make his way to the handbrake by forcing himself through a military obstacle course. His facial muscles twitch like a man whose eyes were being sprayed with lemon juice. "What do I do now?" roars Pavane when she realizes that the Saab is 2 centimeters from the tail lights of the car in front. "Reverse! You put it in reverse!" Ove manages to say through his teeth. "I almost smashed into the car," pants Pavane. Ove peers over the edge of the bonnet, and then suddenly a sort of calm comes over his face. He turns and nods at her, very matter of fact. "Doesn't matter, it's a Volvo." It takes them 15 minutes to get out of the parking area and onto the main road. Once they're there, Pavane revs the first gear until the Saab vibrates like it's about to explode. Ove tells her to change gear and she replies that she doesn't know how. Meanwhile, the cat seems to be trying to open the back door. When they get to the first red light, a big black city jeep with 2 shaven-headed young men in the front pulls up so close to their rear bumper that Ove is pretty sure he'll have their registration number etched into his paintwork when they get home. Pavane glances nervously in the mirror. The city jeep revs its engine as if giving vent to some sort of opinion. Ove turns round and looks out of the back window. "The 2 men have tattoos all over their throats," he notes, as if the city jeep is not a clear enough advertisement for their stupidity. The light turns green. Pavane brings up the clutch. The Saab splutters and the instrument panel goes back. Stressed, Pavane turns the key in the ignition, which only makes it grind in a heart-rending manner. The engine makes a roar, coughs, and dies anew. The man with the shaved heads and tattooed throats sound the horn. One of them gestures. "Press down the clutch and give it more gas," says Ove. "That's what I'm doing," she answers. "That's not what you're doing." "Yes, I am." "Now you're shouting." "I'm not bloody shouting," she shouts. The city jeep blares its horn. Pavane presses down the clutch. The Saab rolls backwards a few centimeters and bumps into the front of the city jeep. The throat tattoos are now hanging on the horn as if it's an air raid alarm. Pavane tugs despairingly at the key, only to be rewarded by yet another stall. Then suddenly she lets go of everything and hides her face in her hands. "Good Are you crying now?" Ove asks in amazement. "I'm not bloody crying," she howls, her tears spattering over the dashboard. Ove leans back and looks down at his knee, fingers the end of the paper button. "It's just such a strain. This, do you understand?" She sobs and leans her forehead against the wheel as if hoping it might be soft and fluffy. "I'm sort of pregnant. I'm just a bit stressed. Can no one show a bit of understanding for the pregnant, bloody woman who's a bit stressed? Ove twists uncomfortably in the passenger seat. She punches the steering wheel several times, mumbles something about how all she wants is to drink some bloody lemonade, flops her arms over the top of the steering wheel, buries her face in her sleeves, and starts crying again. The city jeep behind them signals until it sounds as if the Finland ferry is about to run them down. And then something in Ove snaps. He throws the door open, gets out of the car, walks slowly round the city jeep, and rips the driver's door open. Have you never been a learner driver or what? The driver doesn't have time to answer. You stupid little bastard. Ove roars in the face of the shaven-headed young man with throat tattoos, his spittle cascading over their seats. The throat tattoo doesn't have time to answer, and Ove doesn't wait for him either. Instead, he grabs the young man by his collar and pulls him up so hard that his body tumbles clumsily out of the car. He's a muscular sort, easily weighing in at 100 kilos, but Ove holds his collar in an immovable steel grip. Evidently, Throat Tattoo is so surprised by the strength in the old man's grip that it doesn't occur to him to put up any resistance. Fury burns in Ove's eyes as he presses the probably 35 years younger man so hard against the side of the city jeep that the bodywork creaks. He places the tip of his index finger in the middle of the shaved head and positions his eyes so close to Throat Tattoo's face that they feel each other's breath. If you sound that horn one more time, it'll be the last thing you do on this earth, got it? Throat Tattoo allows his eyes to divert quickly towards his equally muscular friend inside the car, and then at the growing queue of other cars behind the city jeep. No one is making the slightest move to come to his assistance. No one beeps. No one moves. Everyone seems to be thinking the same thing. If a non-throat tattooed man of Ove's age without any hesitation steps up to a throat tattooed man of the age of this throat tattoo and presses him up against the car in this manner, then it's very likely not the throat tattooed man one should be most worried about and annoying. Ove's eyes are black with anger. After a short moment of reflection, Throat Tattoo seems convinced by the argument that the old man unmistakably means business. The tip of his nose, almost unnoticeably, moves up and down. Ove nods by way of confirmation and lets him back down on the ground, then turns round, walks around the city jeep, and gets back into the Saab. Pavane stares at him with her mouth hanging open. Now you listen to me, says Ove calmly, while he carefully closes the door. You've given birth to 2 children, and quite soon you'll be squeezing out a third. You've come here from a land far away, and most likely you've fled war and persecution and all sorts of other nonsense. You've learned a new language and got yourself an education, and you're holding together a family of obvious incompetence. And I'll be damned if I've seen you afraid of a single-blooded thing in this world before now. Ove rivets his eyes into her. Pavane is still agape. Ove points imperiously at the pedals under her feet. I'm not asking for brain surgery. I'm asking you to drive a car. It's got an accelerator, a brake, and a clutch. Some of the greatest tweets in world history have sorted out how it works, and you will as well. And then he utters 7 words, which Pavane will always remember as the loveliest compliment he'll ever give her. Because you are not a complete treat. Pavane pushes a ringlet of hair out of her face, sticky with tears. Clumsily, she once again grabs hold of the steering wheel with both hands. Owen nods, puts on his safety belts, and makes himself comfortable. Now push the clutch down and do what I say. And that afternoon, Pavane learns to drive.